Hello guys, welcome back to Touchline Talk, LNobbins YouTube channel. In today's stream slash video, what I would like to do is, because the season's fast approaching, transfer window's happening, but City aren't really that active, hence I haven't really been talking about transfers outside of the Savio analysis video, and I also did earlier in the year, last month, whenever it was, maybe a month prior, my top 3 transfer targets. From my perspective, there's nothing really to talk about RE Man City transfers. I only really like to touch on stuff which is going to be either confirmed or near confirmed. So that's why I don't really do transfer rumour stuff. If you like that content, more power to you. I don't like that content personally. That's why I don't do that sort of stuff. So in today's video, what I would like to do, I've got my tactics board. Hopefully the microphone will be working this time with my touch screen. We're going to be half touching on City's general squad, where we stand, but I want to have a sort of a particular focus on the attacking elements, because we've obviously signed an attacker, comparing that to last season, how we might set up next season, how we might attack next season, what are the options for next season, etc, etc. But it's also going to be a Q&A stream, so as always, interactive back and forth with you guys. So we're not just going to be talking about that. That will only take up a section of however long we want to stream for today. So feel free to get your comments in, your questions, your statements of intent, etc, etc. But thank you guys for joining me today. Please leave a like on the video as you enter. If you are new, make sure to subscribe. But the main thing is to leave a like on the video, because that does really help, and it's free. It's free. That's the key thing. If you want to go the extra mile and pay me some money, you can click the join button. You can click the link in the pinned comment to become a member if you would like to. Hello, Cappy. How are you doing? Excellent picture. I don't know what that is of, but it's very cute. iRock says, after your vaunted video, don't know what that means, on Savio, he's yet to feature. He's not gone on the tour. That's why. Hello, Denton. Good to see you. We've got Slick, Louis, Wagwan Donna, one of my beautiful members. Ayushi, another beautiful member. Hello. Good to see you, Michael. Musty, that's crazy. Welcome back, says Mad Dog. Thank you, mate. No, to be fair, Jack, this is legitimate. Mrs. Nobbins got me this. This is a legitimate home kit, in fairness. And I tell you what, just a slight pivot to fashion for a second. I thought this kit was shit when it was first released. It's really nice. It's really nice. I was totally wrong. I also thought that about our treble winning top 2 fair when it was first released. I was like, oh, I hate that. But no, this is actually really gorgeous. These could have been tacky. These 0161 ones could have been tacky. They're just really nice. So I'm really I think it's a really nice kit, to be honest. We'll talk about that. What is going on with Bruno Guimaraes? Nothing right now, Mars. Nothing right now. Luke, I don't know who Luke is, Louis. Thoughts on yesterday's charges? I think it's about money from broadcasting. Thoughts on yesterday's charges? Oh, you mean the being late to games one? Yeah. I mean, that's a whole different issue for another story. And a whole different issue for another story. It works out as we're being charged around £90,000 a match. Apparently, with the latest we were was like 2.5 minutes to a game. So it's not like we're gaining an advantage. And on a slight serious note for a moment, racism is charged at a lot less. So there we go. Hello, Terrell. It looks better how people are running it. Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, guys. So shall we get cracking on with today's video? So if you've got any questions as we go through, feel free to go ahead. But I want to start with my tactical board. So let's go review that, shall we? I thought your name was Luke. No. My name is Nobbins, Louis. My name is Nobbins. Let's go over there, shall we now? If these buttons work, we'll find out. We'll find out together. If these buttons work. Audio seems to be fine, so hopefully you guys can hear me. Sneak preview into my hallway there. It is well hot. It's hot already in England, and I've got lights, closed blinds. So, yeah, it's a thing. I can see your comments as well, by the way, on my 4th monitor. Yeah, I've got 4 of them. Count them, 4. I've got 4 monitors, 4 cameras, 2 microphones. No, 3 microphones. We're popping off out here. Guys. Here are my hands. Okay. So, this is the situation, RE City Squad. Now, I believe, unless you guys can help me out here, because I looked at the squad and I was like, it's even smaller than I realised in terms of like our actual quantity of players. Indeed, this is technically a spare bedroom as well, quantity. Yes, there's a single bed. So if there's a name I'm forgetting here, Ari, the senior players, let me know. But I think that's everyone. But it works out as only 21 players, which is smaller than I thought. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Yeah, 21. So I think with there's only 21 players, that means last season we only had 20. Because this is including Savio. I'm not including Calvin Phillips. You can less of that, or Cancelo. No, we're not having any of that. This is, as I can tell, the senior squad, and I'm including Rico Lewis as a senior player, and I'm including Oscar Bob as a senior player as well. Hands look like they're on fire. I mean, maybe it's probably just the filter, mate. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is the situation. Now, in terms of this, what we have right here in the first instance, I'm going to make a bold prediction, okay? Now, the shape might be different, etc., but I'm going to make a bold prediction. I'm going to say that for the most part, and in the main, these lads here, this is going to be our main starting 11. Now, why have I come to this conclusion? Well, first of all, it's a very fun team. It might not be in this exact orientation. I don't expect Doku to start on the right wing. I'm just talking about if you collect all the starts together, I think that this will average out as the main team. The reason why I think that, I'm not including Scott Carson, Louis. I mean, I've only included players who have a realistic chance. So I'm not including, like, I mean, McAtee might get some minutes, but realistically, it's not going to be that many. Same with O'Reilly. My starting point is there are some non-negotiables in my opinion. I'm just going to pop these players there for a second. There are some non-negotiables for me. I'm going to assume Edison stays. If he doesn't, then Ortega will come in. Whatever. If John Stones is fit, one assumes he will be doing the Stone system, but actually all of this is superfluous because, in my opinion, the starting point for any City team, obviously Rodri, but you'll see what I mean in a second, is these two starting in midfield. I think that we saw towards the end of last season, this is ultimately what won City the title, getting these two players into midfield at the same time. I think that would be the foundation of what we try to do next season. Again, I'm assuming that De Bruyne is going to be staying. So this is my starting point. Now, if this is my starting point, then that means that I cannot have both Doku and Savio in the team at the same time. Because Haaland's obviously going to be starting. Now, if you have Doku and Savio in the same team for the most part, that is incredibly vertical, attacking, carry heavy, and carry first. When Alvarez can stay on the bench where he belongs, Musty, we'll be having less of that. So I would be amazed, and you'll know this if you watch my Savio analysis video. I would be staggered if we went with this front five. Now, it looks very fun, in fairness, a front five of Doku, Foden, Haaland, De Bruyne, and Savio. It looks incredibly fun, very attacking, and in fairness, I think maybe against some of the lesser teams, or maybe in games where we are heavily chasing the game, and we just need to go for the attack and lock in all on the attack, then I can, in fairness, see something like this. But for the most part, in the main, there's surely no way that Pep will be considering this. I think the only world in which Doku and Savio start in the same team is if, Foden is dropped. Exactly. I think it could work against smelly teams, Musty, absolutely. So against the lesser teams, yes. And then, bringing in someone like Kovacic, for example. That's the only world in which I can see that happening. But as I say, for the most part and in the main, I think that it will be Foden and De Bruyne starting the majority of games in midfield together. So that means that one of these two players can't start for the most part. Now, I'd be staggered if Savio started the majority of the games. And I think that Grealish, this might be copium speaking, I think Grealish is going to have a good season. So I think that Grealish will start the majority of the games. That's more hope, more so than expectation. Of course, Doku will play on left a bit as well, but I think there might be a lot of rotation, so I can see in the main one of Doku or Savio being on the right here. Again, this is all about averages rather than... I'm not saying Doku's going to start every single game on the right. I'm just saying that in respect of averages and overall, that will happen. If Pep pops Foden back on the wing, then no, we are surely past it. We're surely past it. Nam raises a good point. This also means that Oscar Bob on the right is another option. Now, the reason why... now, again, this is something I explored in my Savio analysis video. If you haven't watched that video, what are you playing at? Go watch after the stream. It's a really good video. It's actually my best performing video in terms of relative views to... time. It's on 40,000 views. Go watch after this if you haven't already. It's a bloody good video. If you have these two in midfield, you're going to need control somewhere. As we've just established, that Doku Savio, for the most part, isn't going to do that. I think Bob, to an extent, is that sort of player. Relatively inexperienced, and probably not a true starter. So I think one of Bernardo or Grealish will start, and then one of Doku or Savio will start for the most part. Now, I don't necessarily want Bernardo on the right. We saw last season that City actually looked so much better and won the title ultimately when Bernardo moved from the right into midfield. His influence at right wing has sort of waned a little bit, and by a little bit I mean a lot. He's not really that sort of player anymore. Knobcast, does that mean you go fishing with your knob, says John? No, that's the name of my podcast, matey. I know the pillow hasn't always been there. It's relatively new. I got it custom made. It's sick, innit? So. Yeah, we're going to need a control-based winger and maybe a more direct one. Again, this is why I can see. For now, I'll just pop in Savio just because it makes niceness from a playing perspective, because Savio is a right winger, not a left winger, as we all know after watching my video. But I do think it will be Doku more so. I'm just putting that for perspective. So, and the rest of the team then sort of picks itself in a way. Obviously, Rodri would have to feature. One of Stones, hopefully Stones is going to be fit and Stones can do the Stones role, and then the defence doesn't really matter who you go for, Ake or Gvardiol. I'm just going to pop in Gvardiol there. Akanji must play instead of Walker. Now, I don't know what the exact orientation is going to be. This is now going to be something we're going to discuss. But in the first instance, what did we do last season? Our fullbacks were our wingers. If you remember, especially towards the latter stages of the season, and in particular, the biggest example was that Arsenal game for me, where I think at times we had Gvardiol. Technically, it was Foden on the left, but Gvardiol would also try to pop up on the left sometimes. And then it was sometimes Akanji out on the right. Now, they are defenders, hence they're not that good at attacking. Gvardiol is quite good, but compared to a winger, he's not as good. So I do think the focus this season, we will go back to actually playing wide players out wide. I don't think that we're going to see the system where it's, Gvardiol out wide and then a Kyle Walker out wide. Especially given the fact that we haven't even brought in any new fullbacks, we haven't brought in any new attacking fullbacks. That to me suggests that we are hopefully going to go back to using wide players as wide players and defenders as defenders. So I can see a return back to something like the treble-winning system. That's my hope anyway. That's my desire. But Kyle Walker, we'll be having less of that. So this is a potential solution. Another solution is to build up in a... So this is build up in a 3-2. Another solution is to build up in a 2-3. In which case we might see something like this. And we did see this in the first half against Everton. It didn't work out very well, to be honest. In fact, it was terrible. But it could work in theory if actually worked on more so. And that actually looks relatively nice. You've got the double inverting defenders of Gvardiol and Stones. You could, in this situation, you could even have Ake instead of Diaz, and then out of possession, that could happen, which is actually really nice. You've got double inverting or double progressing centre backs, which could also be a nice option, to be honest. Now, we've never done that before with double inverting centre backs. We have done it with double inverting fullbacks. So that could be a thing. But yeah, so we're looking at a 2-3-5 or a 3-2-2-3 for the most part. I didn't watch the Barca game, no. Alan says that the whole centre-backs playing wingers was due to Grealish not playing well. Hope he has a good season. And yeah, I do think that, I think a lot of that was down to necessity. Necessity is the mother of invention. But I would also say that we saw very, very early on that Walker was used as a right winger last season. And there was that whole conversation about Pep desperate for Walker to stay. So maybe there was a thought process of, how do I get Foden in the middle? Maybe we can do it by doing a false winger situation. So actually, maybe it wasn't just to do with injuries. Maybe it was also part of the plan. Maybe it was accelerated due to the injuries. But I do think that ultimately Pep wanted to do something like that. Otherwise, why would he be so desperate to keep Walker, etc., etc.? Un momento. Por favor. Right, stop insulting. Stop having a go at how I say winger. It's very upsetting. We've got around 80 people watching, which is lovely, but only 30 likes, which is simply not good enough. Let's leave a like on the video, please, guys. I want to get us to 50. Look at these bendy thumbs. Look at them. Let's get up to 50 likes, please. Yeah, so we could be seeing one way or the a 3-2 or a 2-3. But either way, in my opinion, the main starting point will be getting Foden and De Bruyne into midfield. This does raise an issue. Before we talk about how this team attacks and where the main attacking patterns of play will come from, let's just talk about what out of possession issues that raises. Because if we attack in a 3-2 or a 3-2, that's fine. If you watch this channel, you'll know by now, you guys will be informed enough to know there's a big difference between out of possession and in possession structures and systems. So we defend in the back four. So just for argument's sake, I'll put Ake at left back there. It would be nice to see Gvardiol actually at centre back this season. In which case it would look something like this. It's normally a 4-4-2. This is how we defend off the ball. Now, the issues this presents, or an issue which I thought existed, was that, and again, this is what we discussed in my Foden De Bruyne midfield video, is that one of Foden and De Bruyne has to play out of possession in midfield. Now, De Bruyne historically has done this. Don't listen to the idiots on Twitter who tell you that De Bruyne is a forward. He literally has played many seasons actually deep in midfield, out of possession. If anyone tells you that De Bruyne is not a midfielder, their opinion isn't worth the shit that comes out of their anus, to be honest. So De Bruyne can definitely do that role in theory. In fact, he did it for Belgium. The main issue is one of age and one of injuries as well, and potential fitness. I don't know how much De Bruyne is going to be used this season compared to a couple of seasons prior. He's not going to be starting every single game. So that's probably not ideal from an out of possession situation and also from a future-proofing perspective. But again, this presents the issue of, well, this out of possession striker area is both Foden and De Bruyne's preferred area of choice. But what we saw in the last game of the season was something really interesting. I'll try to remember the team. So Grealish didn't play, Doku started. Savio didn't play, Bernardo started out on the right. So all that's happened there is we've swapped the sides in terms of the control-based winger and the direct winger. I can't remember the exact defence. Stones definitely didn't start. It was, I think, Walker started at right back. I think Gvardiol left back. Diaz, Ake, I think. But in terms of the outer possession situation, it was this in terms of the midfield. Foden, in the last game of the season against West Ham, the 3-1, the must-win game to win the league, and Foden started in midfield out of possession. Now that tells me that Pep clearly, despite popular belief, despite my own beliefs earlier in the season, the Pep trusts the notion of Foden in the middle. Out of possession, I'm talking about. Like defending as an 8, essentially. So I've got hopes that next season, the season coming up, what we are going to see is Foden, the next step in his evolution. Foden, this season, stop the Calvin Phillips centre-back. Guys, I know Calvin Phillips played at centre-back for Barcelona. I didn't watch the game, but he's got no place in the squad, guys. Like, even if he could play great at centre-back, we've got Ake, Gvardiol, Stones, Akanji. He's not getting in this team. Let's chill on the Calvin Phillips stuff. Last season, we saw the next step in Foden's evolution, and that was playing the full season in around 75% in midfield with the ball, basically as one of the two tens, either as the false winger coming inside, or as an out-and-out midfield who starts from the front and then drops in. Out of possession, one of the strikers in the 4-4-2, in possession, drops back as one of the two tens. So that was another step in his evolution. We saw how good he was as that more offensive midfielder from central zones. So I'm hoping that Foden's final form is actually more of an 8 sort of player, rather than just... Because Foden right now is a specialist pocket player, you might say, and just a specialist in and around the box as well. Like we've seen his ridiculous ball striking, for example. He scored, 6 Premier League goals from outside the box, more than... In fact, I think it was like level with any club who got goals outside the box, maybe. It was a lot. It was a lot of goals outside the box. And if you recall years ago, Pep said something along the lines of, I think Foden's final position will be a holding midfielder. Now, that doesn't mean a 6. When Pep said that, when Guardiola said that, he didn't mean Foden's going to become a defensive midfielder and a Rodri. He just meant he's going to be tasked with more defensive responsibility and burden, in the same way that a Gundogan once was, in the same way that David Silva and De Bruyne were in like the in the 17-18 and 18-19 season. Not necessarily just an out-and-out 10, an all-round general player. I would love that. I'd love that to be his final form. I think he can do that. He's only going to be able to do that and get better defensively out of possession is if he's played there. So the fact that he played there against West Ham tells me that this is a genuine potential midfield situation, partnering Rodri with Foden. In the smaller games, I don't see us doing this in the bigger games. Like, obviously, if we're playing Arsenal at the Emirates, I'm sure that, Kovacic or Nunes or maybe new signing will partner Rodri. But in terms of trialing it, I think this season is the season where that can happen. So that's the out of possession situation, and that's fine. Now, let's go back to the attacking situation. Let's see if I can line these players back up properly. If you guys got any questions or thoughts, by the way, as I'm doing this, feel free to pop them in the chat for me, and we can, because again, I know I'm yapping a lot, but this is supposed to be a back and forth stream. You don't have to send a super chat in just for me to communicate with you and read out your questions. I'm going to drop Ake for a second. There's Pop Diaz there. Side note, I want Gvardiol to learn the Stones role. We all know that Stones is getting injured. We all know that's happening. I think that defence might actually be our main defence this season. Walker must get dropped. Must do. Ake at left back, out of possession. Gvardiol actually at centre back, out of possession, but doing the Stones role. I think that he can be coached to do that. LB says we're getting cooked in pre-season. Don't worry, mate, it's pre-season. In my opinion, it means nothing. Jack, that's a brilliant point, You have said Foden the pivot in the Champions League final, but you raised a good point. Do you remember the Real Madrid game at the Etihad? What was the pivot that day? It was Foden Rodri. Massively important game, must win, and Pep opts for that in the Champions League quarter-final, second leg against Real Madrid. Foden Rodri midfield. Last game of the season, must win to win the title. Foden Rodri midfield. Foden the best player on that day. Genuinely, it's a thing. Why starting Ederson every time? Because Ederson's infinitely better than Ortega, maybe? Rodri for captain, says CK. I would like to see De Bruyne as captain just for the vibes, to be honest. I would love to see him lift a trophy. You get me? Would you rather have prime David Silva or prime Ferner in this current squad? Ooh, Fernandinho, I reckon. I love Rodri, obviously, but can you imagine a partnership of Fernandinho and Rodri? Like, good one. A good one, trying to get past that. That would be perfect, to be honest. Will Pep play a two-striker formation with Haaland and Alvarez? I doubt it, to be honest, Taron. I think that... Well, I'm hopeful that Alvarez will get a lot less minutes this season coming up, especially given his comments of basically saying, I want to play more. I'm sorry, mate. If you want to play more at striker, you're going to have to fuck off because you ain't getting any of that time here. You are a lot worse than Haaland, and you are younger, and you are older than Haaland. So... get out. If that's your thought process, just fuck off, to be honest. We'll find out, though. Are you going to watch the Chelsea match this Saturday? If it's another pre-season game, Musty, then no. Because I'm not interested in pre-season. Right, so let's discuss now how we might attack. What are our attacking options? What are the potential attacking patterns of play? Yeah, the defense is fine. So yeah, again, last season we saw the full-backs providing the width. Actually, wing-back/wingers, Gvardiol, Akanji, Gvardiol, Walker, whoever that was. This season, I really don't want to see that again. I want to see our width provided by actual wide players. The reason why that's so important, and to actually have wide players out wide, is because lots of teams will congest this area of the pitch against City. Why? Because this is the best area to score from. This is like in respect of the quality of chances and the quality of those chances. The best chances come from the center of the park in general. This is why this is the trickiest area to create chances from, because obviously it's easy for opponents to pack the center of the pitch, cutting off your attacking and passing lanes in the center. Every team does this against City. That's not new information. So it means that what City have to do is rely on the wide players. And again, the reason why that was such an issue last season, despite winning the title, is because we had to rely on our full-backs to be our wide players. This is why we need to go back here. Because if teams are packing the centre, because obviously we've got Foden and De Bruyne and Haaland there, if there's no space in the middle, we need our wide players to be able to do that. This is why I think the Savio signing could be really, really important. What we have here in terms of our wingers, don't criticise the way I say winger, or I'll shout. When and where did Pep say Foden be a holding midfielder later in his career? I can't remember, fact checker, but I believe the quote is on my Can Foden and De Bruyne play midfield video. So if you want to find the exact quote, it should be on that video, but he did definitely say it. I think it was in 2020 he said it. It was a long time ago. Let's go have some 7-Up. This stream is sponsored by 7-Up. It's not, that's a lie. Got nearly 100 people watching. We got to 50 likes, which is lovely. Let's get to 75 now. Come on, guys. Do you believe we can win the league if we sign no one? Says Miles. No, he did fact checker. Don't worry about it, matey. I've literally got the quote. Did he? Sorry. Do I think we can win the league if we sign no one? A lot of it depends on the Arsenal signings. I don't know how... I don't watch Sociedad. I don't know how good Mikel Moreno is. I've heard he's quite good. I don't think we can do 2 seasons of getting around like 90 points, or more than 90 points, without a proper Rodri alternative, without a proper Gundogan replacement. Can't happen. So I'm going to say no, to be honest. Unless Kovacic steps up massively, or Nunes steps up massively, I don't think we win the league. No. And I'll go on record saying that. It must, yeah, I had a change. I had a change. I got some Fanta Lemon as well. Because why not? Liam, Liverpool ain't in the conversation. Leave. Shoo. In before they win the league. I don't think Liverpool are in the conversation. I think that they'll need at least a season to sort themselves out. That's my take. Right, yes. So, in terms of our attacking patterns of play, so we know what to expect with Foden and De Bruyne. So, obviously, and Haaland, obviously, we know what to expect there. That's fine. Let's talk about De Bruyne for a second. He's obviously still, in my opinion, he's still the best player in the Premier League. He's not the player he once was, of course. Of course. But he's still fantastic. So what we need to do, I think, is how can we get the most out of him? Now, De Bruyne's small space work is declining. Now, what I mean by that is, if we think of like what is the strength of a Foden, an Oscar Bob, though that type of player, their strength is operating within an opponent's block, an opponent's defensive structure, receiving it under pressure, turning, that small space work. That's what I mean by that. De Bruyne's strength has always been his long space work, but he's also been a fantastic small space player. That is declining, though. So what I think we need to do is create don't worry, a De Bruyne on his last legs is still superior to Salah. Well, don't worry about that, Liam. What I think we might need to do is... I don't agree that KB and Foden getting each other's way, Elder, because what happened last season, I don't agree at all. What actually happened last season was Foden was the primary 10 and De Bruyne was the floater. I don't really agree they're going each other's way. They interchange wonderfully with one another. Do you remember that Newcastle game? Out on the right, out on the left, it didn't really matter. So I don't agree with that, to be honest. So in terms of, I've just realised I showed the tactics stuff. I wasn't actually showing you guys. Apologies. It was great. Don't worry about it. So what I think we need to do, is make it so that how can we give De Bruyne more space? How can we have the play in front of him rather than behind him? A way we can do that is by... So obviously he's going to play right central midfield more so than at any other position, obviously floating around, etc. Jack's a great point. De Bruyne is not Bellingham yet. So how can we get the best out of him? We need to create more space for him. Now, Haaland already does that very well by virtue of his gravity. There was a really good goal. There was a really good example of that. I think it was the Bournemouth game, Haaland's first home game. And Haaland basically created the goal for De Bruyne by pushing the opposition back. What we can do is by asking them a question. Again, creating gravity somewhere else on the pitch. Now, I'll tell you who I'm looking at to do that. One of Doku or Savio. For this example, we use Savio because he's more of a right winger. And to be fair, so is Doku, but I think City have now decided we're going to use him more as a left winger. If you have Savio in these areas over here, like... on ball in a settled attacking shape. Again, we are watching this. No, because we watched my analysis video. Savio is a player who will make these runs, and he will ask those questions, and he will run in behind. He'll make very intelligent runs behind the fullback. He'll make underlapping runs as well, outside of maybe an overlapping fullback or an overlapping midfielder, whatever. He's also unbelievable 1v1. You can't leave, in the same way that teams can't leave Doku alone out on the left. We saw Doku doubled up so much last season. You can't leave Savio on his own. He will, by virtue of him existing on the pitch, push the opposition defensive line back from like there to like there, right? And again, I'm using Savio for this example, but it could be Doku instead. Now, if the whole defensive line is pushed back, then what does that mean for De Bruyne? It means that suddenly he's gone from having, like, this much space to, like, all the space, yeah? That's an extreme example, but you see what I mean? And then what that means is that he can, again, operate outside the box. So if all the opponent's players are, like, around here-ish... really pinned back. That means that De Bruyne can just operate within these sorts of areas. Obviously, he can go in there as well, but he can also just dictate and chill in and around these areas as well. And this looks like a far distance for a player to create something, but for De Bruyne, it isn't. The Newcastle goal, the Newcastle winner, is the perfect example of that. De Bruyne's starting position is like it's like he's a defensive midfielder in terms of where his starting position is, where he picks up the ball. Oscar Bob makes the run, De Bruyne finds him perfectly. I think that is how we utilise De Bruyne this coming season, next season, the season coming up. I think that's how we can really utilise him. Again, by having the wide player pin back the opponent, give De Bruyne more space. You give De Bruyne more space, he can use his big space creation, his long space creation. So I think that is that will be an extra avenue for attack this season. I think that we'll see De Bruyne in a slightly deeper role. That's what I think. So that's one that's an indirect impact of having an actual threat out wide. If you have Bernardo there. Bernardo, lovely player, etc. He doesn't provide the same 1v1 threat as a Savio. I don't think he strikes fear in the same way as a Savio or a Doku. I don't think that he has as much gravity as those players. So I do think it's important that one of Savio or Doku or Bob, because he's also a fantastic player, can start there. And Musa says Bob's going to get a lot more minutes than people think. I think Bob might be. Again, I'm hoping Bernardo will be more of a central player. So in my head, Bob's the second choice right winger behind Savio, to be honest. Jared says maybe we could see Grealish playing the midfield if Pep wants to start Savio and Doku. I don't know if we're going to see Grealish out and out midfield, to be honest. Because if you do, then you can only play one of Foden or De Bruyne. We might see it sometimes, but I think for the most part he's going to be out on the left, to be honest. Or if we do play the false winger situation, that's the only time that will happen. So that's the indirect. Liam, you've never watched Savio. Trust me, mate. Go watch my analysis video. He's scary. He's one of the best 1v1 players in the world. I agree, Rockbeaner. I think Bernardo will be more of a central player. So that's the indirect impact of Savio. The direct impact of Savio is you got the 1v1 threat. You got a player who can go to the byline and still attack by driving at the defence. There, he's actually scored many goals by doing that. Or he can just come inside that way. This is a winger who can go both ways, outside or inside on the right. It doesn't really matter. He's also got a very efficient shot on him as well. So that's the direct impact of Savio. Again, I'm going to be hopeful that Grealish goes back to his treble-winning form. If that is the case, what we have in Grealish is one of the most underrated creators in this City side, one of the best ball carriers in the side, maybe only behind Doku. To be fair, obviously, if you have Doku there, we all know what Doku can bring. Similar to Savio, it's that although better in the small spaces than Doku. Savio more of a long space player. I don't think Savio's on the preseason tour because he played in Copa America. So I think that's probably why, mate. He's not in America. So that is a thing. I think another thing is that what we saw a lot was last season. Was this move. LB, thank you so much for the super chat. Bob Defo starts the season. Well, I guess, to be fair, he'd have to, wouldn't he? Because Savio and Doku aren't on the preseason tour, are they? So they're not, because they obviously got into the knockout rounds of the Copa America and Euro. So, yeah, you're probably right, to be fair, because he probably would have to start, because Bernardo can't, because he was with Portugal. Our squad is limited. Yeah, but you're right. By virtue of fitness, Bob probably is going to start. In terms of long term, I don't know if I see that, but this season, long term, I mean. But yeah, that's probably spot on. Again, LB, thank you so much for your super chat, mate. Genuinely means the world. Doku and Savio winger duo cups up 4 goals and 3 assists combined, 0 end product. Liam, do you know how many goals and assists Savio got last season, matey? You might want to look into that because even his underlying numbers, he got the 4th highest expected assists in La Liga. So you might want to revisit that statement of 0 end product because it certainly isn't applicable to Savio. Objectively, that is an incorrect statement. I'm going to have some more 7-Up. United fans, look away now. So what was I saying? Last season, this was a very frequent attacking pattern of play. Rodri picks up the ball here. Line breaking. In fact, it started a little bit deeper, to be honest. Can I move this arrow? Hello? Oh, that's a design flaw. I can't move my arrow. Well, what an L. I just have to redraw it. Rodri ball over to the right side, Walker overlapping run. Walker would normally shoot for himself. He'd normally head it back or do a cutback, and then usually like an on-rushing Foden or Hall and get on the end of that. Now, that is, as I say, that was the main attacking pattern of play last season. But I think we can now eliminate one of those steps by just obviously ditching Walker and having an actual right-sided player here. Again, a player who's willing to make these runs in behind. I do think we are going to see a lot of this connection here. Again, Rodri, back post to Savio, and then he can... I spat on my touchscreen then, goodness me. And then hopefully he can cut in, have the shot with his left foot. I think we'll be seeing that a lot. Is there anything else I really want to talk about in terms of how we might attack next season? I think I covered most of it, to be fair. We know what... So I think we're going to see a lot of wide play next season, basically. That's my prediction. A lot of wide play, whether it's Doku, Savio, Grealish, Bob. I think that's going to be the story of next season. I think that's how we could potentially win the title. I think. The worry, the concern for me is the weakness in transition. If we don't have a partner, if we don't get a proper partner for Rodri, if we don't get Bruno Guimaraes, I think that's the biggest weakness of this team. It was the biggest weakness last season. If we don't change the team outside of adding Savio, we're going to have those same defensive issues. Stones, hopefully being fit, will solve a lot of those defensive issues. He is that good. Walker not playing, again, hopefully solves a lot of those defensive issues. Bernardo not playing out on the right might solve some of those attacking issues. Liam, like, just chill out on the Savio, yeah? Again, go watch the video, and you'll see how good he is. Go look at his numbers, and you'll see how good he is. Go look at his underlying numbers, and you'll see how good he is. Don't worry about it, mate. You confirmed you haven't seen a second of him, so you'll forgive me if I don't take your input on board here. Hello, Surrey. Good afternoon, mate. If Guimaraes is too expensive, he's not too expensive. Just sign him. We can spend like 300 to 400 million quid before breaching PSR. Just bring him. Liam, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know what's going on. Nico is also gonna play because Nico. Who is Nico? When I see Nico, I think of Nico Williams. My brain isn't working. Who is Nico? Nico O'Reilly. He's not going to play a child. He's not going to play a child, guys. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening, to be honest. What do you think about Pet's comment? Nico O'Reilly playing as a Rodri. Again, I didn't watch preseason. I'll be happy to be proven wrong if Nico O'Reilly starts a lot next season. I don't even know who this geezer is. I don't watch preseason. Apologies. I'm a bit ignorant when it comes to that. We'll see what we see. I'd be staggered if Nico O'Reilly plays a significant amount of minutes next season. Let's just say that. Liam didn't even know what Savio looked like. Amazing. Staffy says, don't think Savio will get a tremendous amount of minutes this season. The bed's in. We've got Bob, Doku, Bernardo to cover, though. Yes, I do agree, Staffy. I think that Savio will probably get a similar amount of minutes to how many Doku got last season, maybe slightly less. I think we might. That's why I think we might be seeing Doku a lot on the right. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm hopeful that Grealish has a strong season and becomes our main starting left-sided player again. Doku's going to have a good season because it's his second season in general. Well, historically, every single wide player has an all-right first season or subpar, much better, much improved second season under Pep at City. O'Reilly looks like if Williams had knee extension surgery. Brilliant. But yes, so guys, that is the sort of like review on how I think City might attack and approach next season. The main starting point is Alvarez. Alvarez was never in, Mo. The main starting point, again, has to be, well, the box midfield. Because the starting point is that Haaland starts because he's Erling Haaland. If you're having Haaland start, you need a 2-3 or a 3-2 build-up. You need a box midfield. In that box, Foden and De Bruyne have to start for the most part. This is the starting point of any City team, or it should be, anyway. Obviously, Rodri plays because he's Rodri. The question then just becomes, how do you create this shape? Do you do the false winger thing by pushing a wide player up? Do you do the Stones role where you push a defender inwards into midfield? The latter is my preferred option, because otherwise you are sacrificing an attacking player. But as we discussed, the only issue that introduces, from my perspective, is you are trusting Foden and Rodri as a pivot out of possession, which obviously isn't going to work against the best teams until Foden, if Foden can ever do that, if that's even his destiny. I think it could be his destiny. Pep's suggested and intimated it might be his future. And again, I'll repeat, second leg of the Champions League against Real Madrid, that is what we did. Must-win, crucial game against West Ham last game of the season. And that is what we did. So I'm hopeful that there will be another step in Foden's evolution. Maybe that's me being optimistic. It probably is, to be honest, but it could happen. And then we'll see one of... I think Gvardiol can learn this role. I think that's the future. But hopefully we don't have to worry about that too much. Hopefully Stones can do it a lot. And hopefully Gvardiol can learn it. As we go on. Liam, that's just because earlier I was assuming Stones was being injured, so I was suggesting that Gvardiol could do that instead. And again, assuming Stones is injured, I actually think that could make one of our best back fours. That is frightening, to be honest. Someone... Oh my god, I've accidentally deleted a kanji. No! Oh my god. Come back, Manu. Right, we'll just pretend this is a kanji. Oh my god, I've doubled up on him. Deary me. I've accidentally deleted the kanji. My bad. Yeah, someone... I was in LB's... on LB's channel a couple weeks ago, and someone said, a kanji can't defend out wide. Huh? You okay? Do you watch the treble winning year? Where was our best right back? You okay? That's what he does. That's his bread and butter. It's like saying Ake can't defend out wide. I don't even know. I don't even know what that's... Yeah, anyway. But yeah, so Walker dropped, strengthened there. Kanji so much better. I don't really care if it's Stones, Diaz, or Ake, Gvardiol, whatever. Either way, that is a really strong back four. I'm happy with that. Again, for me, the question mark is, will Foden be trusted? I think in some games he will be. I don't think it will happen in the biggest games. Elder. Again, if we're playing like Liverpool or Arsenal or... But I was going to say Real Madrid, but we did play it against Real Madrid, so I don't know. I don't know. Anyway. Don. Who is Don? Don said the Kanji's crap at right back. Well, that's ridiculous. I don't know what... That's like saying that Haaland is crap at striker. I don't actually know what that sentence means. That's like saying Ake is crap at left back. Or that Edison's crap at goalkeeper. Or that, like, De Bruyne is crap in midfield. That sentence is meaningless. You might as well have just said 3 add 3 is 12. That's bizarre. But yeah, anyway, guys, that's the review. I'm now going to go back over there. We can have, like, more of a... I just want to sit down. We can have more of a chat about the team, what we think about next season. If you've got any questions or thoughts or comments or statements about City or, I don't know, fried rice, whatever. I'm going to go over here now. I had to make a button so I can go over there. I've not quite figured that out yet. One sec. There we go. Lovely. Boom. Look at this. My hair has naturally dried throughout the course of this stream. We love to see it. We love to do it. All of our defenders are so handsome aside from Walker. I think Walker's a cutie. Kanji can do no wrong indeed. Non-time to contain Liverpool getting thrown in with the names you just said. Yeah, because again, at the end of the day, Liverpool are good. You are good, to be fair. Nice pack. Thank you, Musty. Well, no, Jack, that's what we were just saying. That's what we were just saying. Even though Foden has only played out of possession midfield, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times last season. Think about the games he did it in. I'll repeat. Real Madrid. West Ham must win. That. And also, Pep played Alvarez in midfield against Chelsea at home, which was the wrong thing to do. But the fact is he did it. Foden could do it a lot better than him. So for me, there is hope that can happen. How do I make egg fried rice? You need to use overnight rice in the first instance. vegetable oil in a pan, whisked eggs in. Make sure to season the eggs with a bit of salt and MSG. You need the MSG. Really high heat in a wok, preferably. Get an egg spatula if you have one. If you don't, just use, I don't know, something else, a normal spatula. Yeah, whip that until it's like, you know, almost like scrambly. Then that's done. Then you need to get your pre-made rice. Make sure you seasoned it again with salt, pepper, and MSG. And soy sauce. Soy sauce it up. In the pan, you're good to go. It's as simple as that. It is as simple as that, and it is delicious. Louis, I'm great. How are you, mate? Who's the handsomest defender at City between Stones, Yoshko, Ruben, Ake, and Kanji? Well, let's be honest, guys. It's definitely... Oh, no, it's not definitely. Because Ruben is... I was going to say it's definitely between Stones and... No. I don't think it's Gavardiol. I don't think it's Ake. I don't think it's Kanji. I think it's between Ruben and Stones. I think it's Ruben Diaz. He looks like he'd be good at hugging. My hair was wet, yeah, because I just came out of the shower. Great to see Rico and Oscar getting most preseason minutes on tour. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, that's a good point. In terms of Rico Lewis's usage, because Rico is... I think he could be a City captain in like 10 years. I think he could be with us that long. I think he could be that good. His technical level is already there. How do you cook that fraud LB? Wait, what? I've not cooked LB. I would never cook LB. Never, ever, ever. He's my boy. We still need to meet up. We're going to go to the pub, but then that sort of got lost. We need to do that. Yeah, in terms of Rico Lewis's usage... I don't know what his long-term future is. He said himself he wants to be an 8, and I think he is I think he is a midfielder. I don't think he's got the physicality to play at right back necessarily. You don't necessarily need to be that physical as an 8 to play for City. Look at David Silva. Look at Bernardo Silva. I think that's probably his future. I would be surprised if he was a long-term fullback, to be honest. It's a shame, because we've discussed this before, and Pep has discussed it as well. If Rico Lewis was just a bigger boy... longer legs, etc., he would be one of the best players at City. I think that's an accurate statement because his level of technical ability is ridiculous, but the physicality isn't there. He is too easily bullied, and that's a shame. If you don't have MSG in your egg fried rice, you ain't doing it right, guys. That's just an FYI. Good egg fried rice, yeah, of course. I know. I've been making egg fried rice for years. I know my shit when it comes to egg fried rice. If you don't use MSG, you're not making egg fried rice. You're making some sort of shitty knockoff. If you want proper takeaway egg fried rice, that is how they do it. And again, leftover rice. Otherwise, it gets too... yeah. And if your rice is wet after you're cooking it, sort your life out. Or, you know... yeah, sort it out. Do you think we'll see more of... yeah, I do, Ollie, yeah. I think that he's only 19, isn't he? Maybe 20. Easing him in. Definitely. Maybe we might see more right back to midfield inverted situation. But... I really want to see more of him. He is fantastic. You guys saying Ruben or Yoshko? For me, it's between Ruben and Stones. I love Stones' hair. Ake does have the best hair, to be fair. Who'd be the striker replacement for Alvarez? Do you think that we'll go back to false nine? It's a good question, because this is sort of similar to... for me, this is sort of similar to our DM situation. If we think about... who was our backup? We've discussed this many times before. Who was our backup player before Rodri? It was Gundogan. When Fernandinho was the main man, when Fernandinho wasn't there, who stepped in for him? Well, sometimes Delph, but mainly Gundogan. When Rodri was absent, who stepped in for Rodri? It was Gundogan. What the similarity there is that there's a player who can play. They aren't a specialist 6. They're an 8 who can play as a 6. This is what I think we might need for the striker, and this is I think a very good point by a very good point raised by Hahu. Hahu, yeah, great name. Our backup when Aguero was playing was Jesus, who wasn't happy with the minutes he's got and left. Our backup with Haaland is Alvarez. He's not happy with the striker minutes he's getting. He's going to leave either this season or probably more likely next season. So that tells me it's a similar issue. We can't sign a 6 because we can't sign a pure 6 backup because they won't get enough minutes. We can't sign a pure 9 backup. They won't get enough minutes. We saw Pep last season desperate to squeeze Alvarez in anywhere, whether it was on the left, whether it was on the right, whether it was in the midfield. Issue for Alvarez is he ain't that guy. He's not that good outside of playing as a very specific style of striker. He would be brilliant for another team in another system. But in terms of a starting striker for City, ain't happening. You're so much worse than Haaland and you're older than Haaland. It's not going to happen here. If you're not happy with being a backup, you need to go. So maybe City do need to sign someone who can play as a 9, but is also comfortable playing as a 10 or an 8 or a left-sided player or a right-sided player. In which case, I don't know who that would be. I can't provide you guys with a name, but I've suggested a profile there. Someone who can do a striker, false 9, 10/8/left side/right side. Basically someone who can fill in as a 9 without it being a significant downgrade, but is going to get enough minutes somewhere else in the team. Now that might just be, as you suggest, going back to a false 9 situation. Maybe Oscar Bob could do it. Maybe we go back to De Bruyne doing it, or Grealish, or Foden in the 2020-21 year, where we did that for a lot of the time. Maybe that's the solution. Danny Almo, apparently Paolo's saying, but that might be a more sensible thing to do rather than getting another striker. Shut up, Musty. You can't do any of them outside of Shadow Striker, and we're not going to play with 2 strikers, so no, we'll be having less of that. Shut up. In terms of, I've apparently described Almo then. There you go. I'd be more than happy for us to sign Danny Almo if Julian Alvarez leaves. Until that happens, no. But yeah, there we go. Good question, though, Hahu. Good question. Bob can be the new Gundogan, replace a goal contribution. I do think Bob's future is more of a central player. I don't think he'll ever be a deeper player, though. Yeah, okay, it was class, wasn't it, man? I see Rico's the future 8, says Eden. I think he could be that guy. MSG, exactly, Havoc, exactly. A good question about McAtee. I hope he makes it as a City player. I've said this before, that I think it was a game against Everton at home, maybe. I think Palmer scored that day, maybe. And McAtee had a cameo of like 20 minutes or something. And I thought, looking at those players, looking at all of what I saw at Palmer at City and what I saw at what I saw of McAtee at City, I was more impressed with McAtee. I was very disappointed he went to Sheffield United last season on loan. You're not going to develop or learn there. I mean, maybe you can develop like physicality, maybe, I don't know. But it just seems like, for a player of McAtee's quality, it just seems like a waste of a year, to be honest. I think that maybe he'll get sort of like Bob minutes from last season, and Bob's minutes will increase this season. Maybe. I'm not sure, though. I'm not sure. If we do sign a player, it will be this Rodri alternative, this 8-6 hybrid, this Gundogan replacement. But that's the only player we're going to go for. And again, the word is we're only going to go for it if it's the right player, which is the correct mentality. But the annoying thing is the right player is right there. And he was available on a release clause. And we didn't activate it. And that to me is if we don't sign Bruno Guimaraes in my head, I haven't quite yet been able to accept that we're not signing him in my head, because I was just so convinced it was going to happen, because I was like, it makes the most sense. Bruno and Rodri would be the best midfield duo in the world, ? Facts check me on that, but it might be. They partner each other perfectly. It's a perfect Gundogan replacement. It just makes too much sense. I still can't quite compute why we haven't made that happen yet, or if we are even going to make it happen. But there we go. Liverpool have 3 different players for that archetype: Jota, Gakpo, and Nunes. I wouldn't mind Gakpo. I don't want Darwin. I do like Darwin, but I don't want him at City. Almo returns to Barca. Oh, I'm surprised they can afford him, to be honest. Focusing more on the Prem or Champions League. It's always the Prem for me, mate. Always the Prem for me. Either McAtee or O'Reilly this season. You'd imagine McAtee then. Yeah, that's the one, Musty. Yeah. That is the one. Yeah, surely they're McAtee, because he's actually played a bit more for City. He's 7'2". Is that a joke? Jesus. How old is he? Yeah, that's the one, Musty. Pep said 80 to 85% squad will be the same. Yeah, we only need... If no players are going, we only need one addition, and it's the Gundogan replacement. If Walker leaves, we need to bring in a right back. When I made my 3 transfer targets window, I was operating under the assumption that Bernardo was going to leave. That's why I suggested we bring in another winger. But if everyone's staying, then in terms of the numbers, we still need one more player. We're still one short compared to the 18-19 year, which is, for me, the best Premier League squad to exist. Yes. There was basically no true weak. Even Delph was all right. And he barely played that year anyway. There was no true weakness. That squad was just... That squad was mental. In terms of the numbers, I think it was the perfect amount of numbers. We're one body short, in my opinion. I'm not counting Calvin Phillips, not counting Cancelo, I'm not counting O'Reilly, I'm not counting McAtee, the senior players. Yeah, what's my ideal... Right, my ideal City window goes as follows. Calvin Phillips is sold. Cancelo is sold. Walker is sold. We bring in a replacement for Walker, Simicon. We bring in Bruno Guimaraes, and that would be a perfect window. It's not going to happen, obviously, but if you're asking me what is my ideal window, in an ideal world, I couldn't ask for anything more than that. That's selling the dead wood, that's bringing in upgrades, that's bringing in balance to the squad. If that happened, I'd be very comfortable saying that we'd get like high 90s in points. I don't think that team could be stopped, to be honest. Yeah. Crazy. Hello, Bendiv joined. I don't know what that means. Vibes get back at Sal. No, we can't do that now, I'm afraid. Or I 6'3". I was lied to about his height. What the hell? McAtee doesn't have any exciting physical qualities. The issue for McAtee is that we've got so many good, like, creative, like, 8s or whatever. It's just such a shame for him. It's a shame one of them wasn't, like, a deeper player. It's looking more and more likely that Ederson's staying. Thank Christ. Oh my, you do not believe how, you don't quite understand the meltdown that would have happened from me if we sold him, if we do end up selling him. You don't understand how much I will cry and scream. You cannot comprehend how tilted I will be if that happened. There is no replacement for him. There is no replacement for him. It doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. Ain't happening. We're just having a chat now, Ben. If we had most of the analysis earlier, we're just having a chit chat now. Ortega can hold that. He's a backup. Do you think more dynamic wingers City have now will help us more in the Prem or Champions League? It will help more so with low blocks. So which is basically everyone, to be honest. In respect to the moments, probably the Champions League, because the Champions League is all about... Champions League has nothing to do with are you better on the day, and everything to do with are you better in the moments. Real Madrid were not the best team in the Champions League last season. Bayern were better than them across both legs. City were better than them across both legs, but they ended up winning because they were better in the individual moments. If you replay those games like 10 times, City will win more of them than not. But it's irrelevant in respect to the Champions League. So maybe Savio, Doku, etc. will be better in those situations. Arteta schooled by Arne. Hey, if Arteta needs to go bold to go to the next level. Yeah, I don't know what the future holds for Mateus Nunes. Actually, to be fair, that's another ideal window. I probably would sell Nunes in an ideal world and bring in Bruno Guimaraes. I just don't see where he fits in. He's going to have to become a utility player. He's not going to get any minutes in the attacking areas because he's in respect of like the games that matter. He's not playing ahead of Foden. He's not playing ahead of De Bruyne. He shouldn't be playing ahead of Oscar Bob. So outside of like injuries, and hopefully we sign another player and he won't be starting ahead of them. I can even add Rico Lewis into that. I don't think he shouldn't be starting ahead of Rico Lewis in those more advanced positions, like the 8-10 roles. in terms of the deeper positions, he can't be a Rodri replacement, so it means Rodri will have to play. So that means he's now competing with Kovacic, with Stones, with potentially Gvardiol, with Rico Lewis, O'Reilly, I don't know. That does not excite me in terms of, I don't think he should be starting ahead of any of those players. That tells me that he's only going to be playing centrally when there's a massive injury crisis or when the game just doesn't matter. And as Musty says, Núñez left wing, he was very good in that Bournemouth game. He's going to have to change what he is as a player to become a City player, I think. Whether that's an auxiliary fullback, whether that's an auxiliary winger, whether that's a fullback who goes into midfield. That's, you guys are saying right back. That's what I think he's going to have a future at City, unless we sell someone. Like if we sold Kovacic and didn't replace him or whatever, that's fine. But outside of that, I'm sorry, I am not willing to stunt the development of Rico Lewis and Oscar Bob for the sake of Matheus Núñez. Rico Lewis is better than Núñez based on their time in a City shirt. And Oscar Bob is better than Núñez based on their time in a City shirt. And based on their time in the Wolves shirt as well. We haven't really seen the Sporting Lisbon Núñez in the Premier League, to be honest. Even at Wolves. Lewis and Bob are better players based on what I've seen in the Premier League. I can't comment on the Lisbon situation. Didn't watch enough of them. Outside of like did they play us? They played Liverpool. They played someone, and I watched some of them. So yeah, I'm not willing to stunt the development of these younger, better players who I have more of a connection with. I don't yet have a connection with Núñez. Players I don't have connections with for City. I don't yet have a connection with Núñez. I don't have a connection with Kovacic. I really rate Kovacic as a player. I don't have a bond with him yet. To be fair, these are new players. But I already have a connection with Savio. I haven't seen him play for City yet. I don't have a connection. This won't be much of a surprise. I don't really have much of a connection with Julian Alvarez either. That's probably just because of how poor he was last season, how much of a liability he was. So it's not really his fault. But I've got a connection with basically every other City player, I think. Yeah, just those. Koundé's an ideal Walker replacement. I like the idea of a Koundé. You guys will have watched my top 3 transfer targets for City. Simicon is the man for me. I do have a connection with Kyle Walker though, Louis, because for me that's the greatest right back in Premier League history. I'm not going to forget what he did for us from 2017 through to like 2023. I can't forget that just because he was poor last season. And also all the time at Spurs. It's nothing. Carson. Of course I got a connection with Scott Carson. He's good vibes. He's good vibes all around. Lads, we do. Can we please get to 100 likes? We've got 120 people watching, which is great for a Thursday afternoon. Can we please get to 100 likes? That would be wonderful. Let me know if you want more frequent morning streams. At the moment, we sort of got into a process of doing like one a week. I can maybe up to that to like 2 if you want. I'm just cautious of. I don't want to give you guys dog water content. I refuse to be a creator who goes live for the sake of going live and has nothing to say. I'm not going to talk about a transfer target, which is just not going to happen. It's pointless. I'm not going to talk about preseason game. I've got no interest in it, etc., etc. But let me know if I find something to talk about. Let me know if you guys like the concept of 2 touchline talks in like the morning a week, or like early afternoon. Like, well, it's not going to be daily. I would run out of shit to say after like number 2 or 3. Or probably after number 2. Where's the little like the video pop up? It's set to do every like 10-15 minutes. Oi, this content is class. We'll be having less of that. What do you think of this season's kits? Apart from the 4th kit, I think they're all really nice as Taylor. This kit's very nice. I'm happy with this. The away kit's gorgeous. Really happy with the away kit. I think the 3rd kit's a bit shit. But I'm willing to be I'm willing to see it in person and have my mind changed. I thought this was shit when it was first dropped. I thought it was crap. It's gorgeous, as it turns out. I thought the 016 ones were tacky. See, Darcy, you don't like it. I think this is really nice. Let me model it for you. Look at this. It's really nice. It's just like it's nice You can't go wrong with like the sky blue. That's like a staple, etc. These accents, the 016 ones, are really nice. I do really rate these. Have you seen the sensible transfer talk on The Athletic? I've not, Paolo, but my sensible transfer talk is better. Bruno Guimaraes, Simicon, and Nico Williams, but we probably don't need him now. So those two, Simicon and Bruno Guimaraes, that's better than... Let me know the plays they suggested, and I guarantee my suggestions are better. No cap. Guarantee. Guarantee. Third's beautiful. Again, I'm willing to... I'll need to see it in person. I'll need to see it on the players. I'm willing to be proven wrong. But for me, the third kit is nothing. Who did the Athletic say? Let me know, because I rate the Athletic. I love Tifo. Shout out Tifo. Let me know who they suggested, and I'll tell you what I think about that. Someone's knocking at the door. One sec, guys. I will BRB. Right, I'm back, you little rats. Little bastards. There we go. Mrs. Nobbins said, I specifically said, are you waiting for any packages? I said, no. Lo and behold, a package. So someone's lying. Yeah? I don't think it's Royal Mail. We should Reality Hub, absolutely. They say she get... No, they didn't. They suggested Verts and Olmo. Why? They're reckoning Verts replace... Oh, they're assuming Alvarez is leaving. Okay, well that's... Okay, that's a good suggestion. If Alvarez is leaving, that's fine, because that's a player who can... Correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't Verts played as almost like a false nine with Leverkusen at times this season? Or the previous season? Jack, you watch a little bit of Leverkusen. Can you confirm that for me? I feel like that's a thing. I feel like he sometimes played as a second striker / false nine sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. Can you confirm that for me? And Frimpong to add to the squad alongside Walker. Well, Frimpong isn't a right back, so that would be a hellish suggestion. Again, this is what we discussed in my transfer target video. Frimpong ain't a right back. This guy's a winger. Or at most, a wing back. We need a right back / centre back hybrid / right wing hybrid. Frimpong ain't that guy. No. Yeah, no Rodri backup's crazy. Or a player who can do that. Verts has done that on occasions. Well, there you go. Almost off to Barca, just made a 60-minute offer. There we go. Crazy. But I don't understand how they're getting the money, because I thought they were dirt poor. Valverde? Hello? Hello? Don't get that. Alcaraz won the first set. Who's he playing? Big up. Versus played. Yeah, there you go. So that does make a lot of sense, to be fair. And that's what we were saying earlier. Should we get a player who can fill in at 9, but for the most part is going to play somewhere else on the pitch? That's the thing. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, what is the truth? Like, they're playing poor, but there was talk about them getting Nico Williams and Olmo. It's like, well, you can't even afford Cancelo. So what's going on? What is occurring? Zubimendi is a Robert. Well, I don't know if Zubimendi can play elsewhere, but as I understand it, he's a 6, isn't he? So that would be bad. We want an 8 who can play at 6, rather than a 6 who can play at 8. We want an 8 who can play at 6, because our hybrid player is going to be playing more 8 than 6. They're barely going to be playing 6. It's only when Rodri's out, or he's rested, or he's cover. Oh yeah, that's what I mean, Mars. Yeah. I think. Yeah, because it's a salary cap. That's the one. The La Liga salary cap, or the La Liga spending cap. I did a video on it years ago. Crazy. Eze links make 0 sense to be Callum. Surely there's no way we're in for him. 0. I would hate that signing. Love Eze as a player. That'd be a shit signing for City. Why would we sign another Grealish type player? You know, like a wing fielder sort of thing. What would be the point of that? From my perspective, makes no sense. That'd be a terrible signing in my opinion. Who you field on the right side for you or Bobby? Asks Ruben. I think they're very different players, so it depends on the setup. I think Bob's long-term position is the centre anyway. If you had to push me, I'd say Savio. But I do love and really rate Oscar Bob a lot. A lot. Moreno is a pure... I thought it was the other way around. I thought Moreno was the 8. I've not watched Sociedad. I thought it was Zubimendi who was the 6, who can play as the 8, and Moreno was the 8. Why am I being lied to? I'm being lied to by myself, to be honest, at that point. Guys, we've been live for... Yeah, I thought it was the opposite. Right, okay, so am I having a stroke? Or B, have you just got your words mixed up? If so, if it's the latter, that's fine. But I thought it was the other way around, and Jack and Smian have confirmed the same, so that's good. Right, lads. We've got over 120 people watching, which is amazing. As I say, leave a comment now in the chat. Just say yes. Would you like to see, like, in general, next season... on average right now, in addition to like post-mortems, in terms of touchline talks, we're averaging, when the new season starts, in my head, we're going to do 1 a week. Would you like to see more than 1 a week? Yes or no? Put yes and the number. Say yes 2 or yes 3, and I'll see what I can do. Or put no 1. Can everyone in the chat who's got fingers or a knob do that right now, please? Just so that I can see who wants to see it. If you only want to see 1 a week, that's absolutely fine. But if you want to see a few more, then we can do that. And again, specify the number as well. So put yes 2 or yes 3. If you got fingers in the chat, guys, I want it now. Even if you're a lurker, even if you're at work now and you're being naughty, listening to this while you should be working, just pop in a yes or a no, or even a Y or an N. Yeah, yeah. And I'm talking about next season. I'm not talking about just the summer. I'm talking about next season. It's like throughout a general week. 17. Right. Okay. We'll go with 2 then, shall we? We'll go with 2 touchline talks. Maybe that'll be like a Tuesday, Thursday thing. I don't know. Just there's a nice symmetry there. I'll figure it out. Thank you guys for confirming. I can definitely do that for us. This is in addition to postmortems and watch-alongs, by the way. It's not instead of anything. But there we go. Okay, thank you guys for confirming the same. I will sort that out for you guys. We can definitely do that. We can definitely do that. I think Savio better on the right than Bernardo, probably from now on. Probably. And hey, if you guys love the 2, we can definitely up it to 3. Let's start with 2, though, shall we? Let's up it to 2, starting from like next week or whatever. We'll up it to 2, and then we'll take it from there. And then we'll take it from there. And then we'll take it from there. And if we love those, if you love to see it, if I've got enough shit, because I can talk for days. I've been talking for about 1 hour 20 straight. When's next LBins? LB asks. Whenever LB asks me on, I'm basically always available whenever he asks me, or I make it so I am. So we don't need to if you're doing post-mortems as mostly. See, now that is the that's the crux. Maybe we only need to do 1 then. But yeah, anyway, guys, I'm gonna go now because I need to go see my nana and go check on her and see if she's okay and all that stuff. So I'm going to shoot off. Thank you guys so much for joining me. We've had consistently over 100 people, which is brilliant to see. Thank you guys so much. If you haven't turned your notification bell on, turn your notification bell on so that you get a notification for when I go live, so you don't miss these live, so you can actually engage in the chat. Thank you so much to LB for the super chat. Much appreciated, matey. If you are able to and want to go the extra mile, if you want to support me directly, the best way to do that is to click the join button or click the link in the pinned comment if you would like to become a YouTube member. You can do so for £3 a month, and it is really helpful. And if you can't do it or don't want to do it, don't worry about it. But if you can, that's just an FYI. That is the best way to support me. But if you can't do it or don't want to do it, likes are free. Pop your notification bell on is also free. Have a lovely rest of your evening, chaps. Afternoon, evening, whatever. I'll be back tomorrow on Twitch. We've been live on Twitch this week, by the way. So if you want even more of LNobbins in your life, go follow the Twitch. It's just LNobbins. Hopefully that link should work. Yeah, there it is. Lovely, lovely. Make sure to go follow over there as well. And we'll be live tomorrow, hopefully playing a game which keeps crashing on us. But hopefully this time it won't crash. Thank you so much for joining me, chaps. I'll see you all next time. Stay safe. And yeah, big up. Goodbye, guys.